Tuesday edition of PFTOT. It's the extra show that we do to get to the things we didn't get to during PFT Live, or things we'd like to talk about a little bit more. And I want to start with something that I addressed during the radio side of PFT Live. I want to get your thoughts on this, Chris. The NBA has a draft lottery. It happens tonight. Zion Williamson is the prize.
Right.
We just don't know who's going to win the lottery. Should the NFL have a draft lottery?
I don't think so. I'm interested to hear how you're going to sell this to me, actually, because
why do you think the NFL shouldn't?
Well, because I think the NFL right now is the most competitive sport in our country. It's very close between, the worst and best teams in the league. And I think it's set up the way where, I like that the worst team in football gets to pick towards the top of the draft and get their pick of the litter as far as the best players in the draft.
But couldn't you take all the worst teams in the league and create some sort of a system that would take away the temptation to tank? The whole purpose of a draft lottery is to take away the temptation and the opportunity to deliberately lose games in the hopes of getting the best possible draft position.
And there's not a sport that teams tank more than in NBA basketball. So it doesn't. You're there. I've won the case.
No, but they tank in the NFL too.
Yeah, no, I know they do.
Here's my proposal.
So, okay, go ahead.
Here's my proposal. As I was riffing on this earlier, at one point I said, just take all 32 teams and put them in the lottery. Who cares? Give them all an equal shot. Who cares? Then you completely eliminate any temptation to tank because there's no connection between how you do in a given season and where you land in the draft. But I decided to revise.
Okay, thank you.
Picks 21 through 32 will be determined based upon how you finish in the postseason. The playoff teams, you win the Super Bowl, you're last. You get knocked out in the wild card round, you have the worst record, you're first of the 21 to 32.
Okay.
For the top 20 teams in the draft, the teams that don't make it to the playoffs, straight lottery.
Yeah.
No weighted, the way they do it in the NBA. No, you didn't make it to the playoffs, you are in contention for the first overall pick, and they'll determine the order of round one based upon the outcome of that lottery. You make it a two-night television event.
And does the team that's worse, though, have more balls in play? Equal? That is insanity.
Equal.
Absolute insanity.
Because there's still an incentive to tank if you get more balls.
Well, okay, but there's no incentive to tank for any coach or GM out there completely. I understand they might
been down this road so many times. It's not about the coach or the GM, it's about the owner. It's about the owner.
Okay.
The owner's the one who initiates the tank, not the coach or the GM.
Well, is he going down on the field and going, hey, quarterback, don't do this. Hey, coach, don't call this play?
No. He's going to the coach and the GM saying, I think we should see what the rookie quarterback looks like. I think we should see how the undrafted rookie corner plays.
Well, I would just tell you that the teams that are doing that and the owners that are doing that are probably not good football teams.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers did it in 2015.
Right. And
during a game.
Well, I don't know. They haven't been very good, so I don't know.
But they did it.
Okay, maybe at the end of the year, we feel like they did it. Towards the end of the year where they just were going, okay, we're not having a good year. Let's lose a few more. And it's not, again, where I don't think coaches are tanking in these incidences or the players are actually trying to lose games. Yeah, the GM, the coach, they might be putting out younger guys that don't give them the best opportunity to win the game, but there's still an end goal there.
How can you not acknowledge? How can you not acknowledge there's a temptation to tank?
Because I've been in NFL teams where we're 4-11 and we're going to the last game of the year, and I go, okay.
There's no temptation for the player to tank. You want to win.
I know, and there's none for the coach either.
No, but there's an organizational temptation to tank. Look in basketball. You've admitted they tank in basketball. Hang on. You've admitted they tank in basketball.
Yeah.
Right? The players aren't deliberately playing like crap. Right? The coaches aren't deliberately coaching like crap.
Yeah.
They're putting crappy players out there.
Right. And then I still don't know if I'm all in on NBA basketball too. I just wanted to prove you wrong. But yeah, again, I get it that the front office, and owners, they might want a better pick or whatever it is. But yeah, I just don't. The coaches and players are going to compete. So, yeah, you're tanking to a degree, but I can't just flat out call it tanking when the guys that are out there responsible for the outcome are playing hard and the coaches are playing hard. And to your lottery thing with 20 teams being all involved in that, that is ludicrous. I mean,
why?
Because if
you're either a playoff team or you're not a playoff team.
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers, you're going to give them the #1 pick in the draft?
If they win the lottery.
Well, that's insane. It's just stupid. I don't know what else to say.
The problem with doing the weighted lottery is that it doesn't completely remove the incentive to tank. And I think the reason the NFL won't do a draft lottery, because what a great offseason tentpole event that would be.
It would be. Right? I get that.
The NFL won't do it, I believe. They don't want to acknowledge the disconnect between integrity of the game, try to win every game, and the value of being the team that has the first pick in the draft, because there's clearly value. The higher you pick, the better. And every time there's a trade up and you see what they give up to trade up, you realize, hey, it is better to be bad. So if they start down that path, the only way they can pull it off and not suggest that there's any legitimacy to the idea of tanking is make it a straight lottery. That's the only way they could do it. Because if it is weighted, they're acknowledging you benefit from being bad.
Right.
And we don't want to acknowledge that you benefit from being bad. You do. We just don't want to acknowledge it. I think that's why they don't do a draft lottery.
Yeah, well, maybe. But, also, again, I like the NFL's current system. The NFL's king in this country for a reason, and I think this is one of the reasons because of the competitive balance. And, again, most people...
Yeah, the competitive balance. The Patriots win every Super Bowl.
Well, hey, this is a special team, but certainly we see a big rotation of other teams that are competing for it on a yearly basis. But, when you get done... Are you done texting now? Are you done? You good? You
I'm
ready?
listening
We're
to
doing
you. I wasn't on
TFTFT.
camera.
Oh, you were listening? Okay,
Sometimes there's situations that I
no,
have to
we're
address.
at work. We're at work. What are you, like a renegade? Are you Antonio Brown over here? This is New England
let me
Patriots
tell
type
you,
of show here.
My wife wanted to know if I wanted to have breakfast,
Right.
and I said, no, I'm going to eat with you. So now go screw yourself. I'll have breakfast with my wife, bastard.
Sorry, Jill. I
all
like
right.
Jill. I don't want her to eat alone, but Jill, you don't want to eat with this guy anyways. Go eat by yourself.
All right, what were you talking about?
I don't
I wasn't
even know.
listening. I was texting my wife.
I lost. Well, people think that the lottery's rigged in the NBA anyways. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you can't win sometimes in any scenario you set up.
Patriots win no matter what. They
Yes.
won't have Gronk this year. They'll still win. Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, said recently that they're not sure how the offense is going to look without Gronk.
Yeah.
And Patriots fans, to the extent that any are actually concerned that the Patriots won't be in the Super Bowl again, they're concerned, hey, well, we should know what the offense is going to look like. What's your reaction when you hear that?
My reaction is this is like status quo for the New England Patriots. This is why they're so great. This is not a reason for concern. This is just, to me, a reason why New England is New England, because they go to every year, they approach it as a total new entity. It's a new start. It's a clean slate. Players are better. Players are worse. Guys are dealing with injuries. We had to replace this player with that player, whatever it is. And they start to go through their team, and they first evaluate their team to go, okay, what do we got? And now, how can we start to implement the best system around what we got, that we're putting these players in realistic positions to succeed always? That's where New England sets themselves apart. When Tom Brady got hurt, they didn't go, well, Matt Castle, get in there and run Tom Brady's offense. A lot of teams do that, which is like mind-blowing and so stupid. No, they said, whoa, we got to change the dynamic of our football team and change how we coach and change how we call certain plays in certain situations. Everything was changed so that the Matt Castle experiment worked. That's where I just like, New England, don't panic. This is just New England being New England and them finding the best way for them to win once again.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. The best coaches take the guys they have and they design a system to get the most out of the guys they have. And it is a living, breathing system that will change as the season unfolds. And one of the reasons the Patriots are always standing at the end, they get better as the season unfolds.
Right.
They don't get worse. Teams
Right.
always get better or worse. Very few stay the same. The Steelers are the Patriots are one of the ones that get better as the season unfolds.
Yep.
All right. The Hard Knocks series is something we've been talking about this week. The teams that are in it, the teams that aren't in it, the teams that are in the running potentially. We don't have a team yet. All or Nothing is a lesser-known in-season series that Amazon does that I think is better in certain respects than Hard Knocks. They had the Cardinals one year, then the Rams and the Cowboys.
Right.
This year, I'm told it's going to be the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
They were 6-2. It all fell apart.
Yep.
Cam Newton didn't know what was wrong with his shoulder. I mean, if they do this the right way, it could be very, very compelling. It could be a great look at how a team that feels like it's going this way all of a sudden just completely disintegrates, starting with a blowout loss on a Thursday night in Pittsburgh that really greased the skids for 7 straight losses.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like they never recovered. I mean, and then that, and I think the thing that jumps out to me there, because I was just looking at their schedule going, gosh, they lost that game. They're 6-2. You're going, I was sitting there going, they're one of the best teams in the NFC. They got a chance to be a legit Super Bowl contender. They lose that game on a Thursday night to Pittsburgh where they get blown out. Then they lose 2 heartbreakers in a row where they lost a close one to the Detroit Lions when Cam Newton missed the wide-open receiver for the 2-point conversion. And then they blew a game to the Seattle Seahawks where they really dominated and controlled the game for the most part. That, to me, was huge. I'm with you, Mike. Between Cam Newton and a team that was feeling like, man, we're one of the teams towards the top of the mountain, to see that epic fall and how teams can become, the what do I want to say? Just the attitude around the locker room and organization, I think is one of the more intriguing things. Even when I was involved with it, it was an intriguing, aspect just to see the change in mood in the building and how quickly it can all be different.
There was a point last season where it felt like the Panthers and the Saints were destined for a 2-game battle in 14 days apart that would have determined number 1 seed and possibly no playoffs at all. Now, the Panthers fell apart before they could get to that appointment, but there was a while, week in and week out, through half of the season. Hey, look at the Saints and look at the Panthers. They're on a collision course, and they don't play until mid-December, and they play twice in 3 games, but it wasn't to be. But I think it could be, if they do it right and if they're honest about it, and they get into the Cam Newton not being able to throw the ball down the field and maybe some of the meetings and discussions about, hey, what the hell's wrong with Cam's shoulder, and they don't really know, it could be very, very well done depending upon what gets in and what is omitted. All right, we talked a bit about whether or not a coach is going to be fired during the season. Will there be one fired by week 8 or week 9? The over-under we had at 0.5. And that led us to start speculating on the guys who may be under the most pressure. And you made a good point. A lot of the bad teams have new coaches.
Right.
So how much pressure really is there?
Yeah.
Well, who stands out to you? I know there's one guy for me who is head and shoulders above the rest as it relates to full season pressure and possibly being out of a job at the end of the year.
And you're saying Jason Garrett?
Jason Garrett.
Yeah, I mean, Jason Garrett, I think, is the guy that pops to me as well. He's going into the last year of his contract. We know Jerry Jones wants playoff wins, and he thinks this is a talented roster and certainly a Super Bowl caliber football team. So, yeah, I think that if you made me look at one guy who's under the most pressure in all of football, I would say it starts right there with him. After that, then it becomes interesting, the conversation. Where do you think it goes? Who's the next guy in line for you where you go pressure? Is it Pat Shurmur because of the Giants? I know you mentioned Matt.
He's only been
Patricia.
there he's only been there. This is his second year.
I know. I'm with you, but
I think Mike Zimmer's under pressure.
You think Zimmer's under pressure?
I mean, he got an extension. He didn't get an extension. They picked up the option to extend his contract by a year. So if he would get fired after this year, if they'd move on and go in a different direction because the team goes 4-12 and Kirk Cousins is a disaster and they decide to clean house. And I'm not saying they will, but you're under pressure to take this team and get this team to the playoffs, or there could be some tough questions. I think he's a guy who could be in some degree of jeopardy.
Yeah, okay. And then I guess if we're going to put them there, then we're talking pressure. Mike Tomlin's probably another guy, right?
If it's a disaster in Pittsburgh, the fans aren't going to stand for it.
Yeah, right. I mean, do you think Mike Tomlin has to make the playoffs to save his job or continue to work there?
I don't think he has to make the playoffs, but he better be better than 6-10.
Yeah,
6-10 or worse, and I think he could be in serious trouble.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see. I mean, it really would be.
Freddie Kitchens is under a ton of pressure, even though he's unlikely to get fired. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
If the Giants, then Bears, Browns, third time as a charm. If the Browns just flat out stink this year, it's going to be Kitchens' fault. And as the season unfolds, you're going to have agents who are reaching out to the Browns saying, if you decide to make a change, I got the right guy. I got a guy who'd love to coach Baker Mayfield. I got a guy who'd love to coach Baker Mayfield. I'm not going to name names here, but that happens.
Yeah, sure.
And that could put the idea in Jimmy Haslam's head. You know what? Yeah, I've fired a lot of guys quickly, but we gave this Freddie Kitchens guy a chance. It really hasn't worked. Maybe it's time to swing for the fences. We have the players. Now we have to upgrade the coach.
Right. Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me.
No, I hear you. I mean, he is certainly under pressure with that team, and everybody's looking at them because we're all excited about it. I get it, but. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys out there.
What about your guy, John Gruden?
Yeah, I pressure, definitely. I think it's interesting. At least we're saying pressure, though. It's not hot seat. That's where I'm happy. We're not.
Well, they're all under pressure.
Well, yes, they're all under pressure. But those guys, I do think, have a little bit more of a microscope on them than maybe the other teams in football. Both Grudens probably are in that category.
I think everybody except Bill Belichick could have a bad enough season this year to get fired.
You think so?
Every coach.
Yeah.
McVay. 0-16. If the Rams somehow, some way would go 0-16, would McVay get fired?
No, he would not. I don't think
maybe
Sean
it's Belichick
Payton would either.
There'd be a mutual party.
What about Andy Reid?
0-16, but that's the thing. It's never going to happen.
I know.
Yeah,
but if they were
maybe.
You think so? Yeah, I feel like those guys are kind of untouchable.
I think Belichick, McVay. What about Doug Peterson?
Yeah, he's untouchable too, I think, still at this point. Yeah.
0-16 is a tough one to come back from. It's just hard to conceptualize it because these guys aren't going 0-16.
No, they're not. Exactly right.
One more thing that I noticed yesterday with the
I saw you
decision
write about
of E.J. Manuel to retire, the 2013 draft for quarterbacks.
Like, holy crapola. I know.
Crap.
Right.
He was the only first rounder that year.
Right. And I remember then because I was working on was I working with the New England Patriots that year? Yes, I was during that draft process. And I remember doing E.J. Manuel tapes going, there's no way this guy's drafted in the first round. I mean, that was one of the shockers to me. Read off some of the names for me.
I'm looking at it right now. Here.
Okay,
I'm trying to pull it up. This is not.
I mean, it's only your own. It's only your own website that wrote about it.
No. But I want to get the full list. Some of the guys who were drafted that year. Tyler Bray. Whatever happened to Tyler Bray?
Well, he's the third stringer for the Chicago Bears.
He's still around.
He's
Bray.
Still there. Yep. Matt Nagy brought him.
Ryan Nassib. Remember how he was doing his free fall? Doug Marrone was the coach of the Bills at the time, and just didn't draft him.
It was amazing in the meeting room, apparently.
Matt Barkley, fourth rounder. He's in Buffalo, right?
Everyone told me he was going to be the first pick of the draft before he came back to college, so I don't know what happened there.
Mike Glennon.
Gosh.
Zach Dysert, he's in coaching now, right? Where's he coaching?
I don't even know, but I know.
Like in Tennessee? We should know that. Stats, look it up and tell me my year. Geno Smith?
Yeah, Geno Smith, okay? Geno Smith is the best quarterback of that class. Geno Smith, let me just say this too while we're on Geno Smith. He deserves to be a backup quarterback for somebody.
He's with the Seattle Seahawks.
He is as official. They signed him.
I saw the report.
I just wasn't sure.
I saw the report.
But, again, I think Geno Smith gets a very bad rap. I really do. I think he played one of the better games at quarterback for the New York Giants 2 years ago when he filled in for Eli Manning, even though all the fans were mad that they had benched Eli for that. And, again.
I was wrong about Zach Dysert, by the way. He's not in coaching.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But then Geno Smith, too, a guy that was with the Jets when the Jets had no talent. They made an explosion because, he mouthed off in the locker room and got punched. But Ryan Fitzpatrick got to be the quarterback of the team with all the new weapons at the time, if you remember, with Brandon Marshall and everybody else. So I still think Geno Smith is a pretty damn good player and deserves to at least be a backup.
I remember when Geno Smith had 25 touchdown passes and 0 interceptions in 5 games at West Virginia in 2012. Right. A high-level scout that I know said if Maryland had a decent safety, he'd have thrown 3 interceptions in that game alone.
Yeah.
And that underscores the challenge
That's college
of
football.
taking college football and projecting what a guy will do at the next level. And
no doubt.
Look, talent eventually wins out. So, Geno Smith has had chances, but he hasn't been able to rise to the occasion.
Yeah, I guess I feel a little sorry for him the way it unfolded here in New York. And I think his chance that he, like I said, in the 2017 season when he took over for Eli Manning out in Oakland with the Raiders, he played a pretty good football game. But the fans just weren't going to acknowledge it, and he just got abused for it. And I feel like he's a little unfairly treated.
And I think regardless of your actual quarterback skill, you can get in unfortunate circumstances where you have a reputation that just keeps people from ever accepting the possibility that you might be good.
Yeah.
They just won't buy in.
No, they will not.
And because your teammates are they're gonna hear it too. They're gonna hear from their wives and their friends, and that's your quarterback. Oh, that guy sucks. Oh, no, he's not bad. No, he sucks. And then maybe he does suck. You see one bad pass in practice. Yeah, that guy sucks.
Yeah.
And you just don't get behind him the way that you should.
No, I totally get it. I just to bring up a name, it happened in Miami. I think of like Brent Grimes and his wife. All they did was rag on Ryan Tannehill and how bad he was, and they went to Tampa, and the results were worse, but nothing was ever said about Jameis Winston. So there's a perception that wasn't right, but constantly being put out there, and it feeds the fuel at times.
Yep. All right. Well, we've fed the fuel.
Did that even make sense?
You have been shedding knowledge for the last 2.5 hours.
Feed the fuel sometimes.
He scared us earlier, folks. I don't know if you saw it on the TV side. He was talking about how he's always shedding knowledge.
Knowledge.
My first thought was he was saying something other than shedding, and he didn't realize what my concern was, so he kept saying it until the control room said, "Stop saying it."
Right. Yes, I know. I didn't know. I thought I was just messing up the use of the word once again. You need to shed some hair. You need a haircut.
I like my hair. I want people to realize it's actually my hair, so I let it grow.
What? People think it's not real?
People think it's a toupee.
No, it's a beautiful head of hair.
It is real hair.
Yeah, I know it is.
It's human hair. It's not my hair.
I'm going to yank it and pull it real hard.
But it is real hair.
I know it is.
Jill says to me, you should shave your head so people can see that it really is your hair, and they'll see it grow back in. I said, but what if I would shave my head and it wouldn't grow back in? Then I'd be screwed.
Yeah, you would be. Don't shave your head, and you got a good head of hair, so screw everybody else who thinks you got a wig.
And it's not colored either. People think it's colored. You can see there's a lot of gray in there now.
Who would think it's colored? They must be blind. That thing's salty gray over there.
But still, there's a way to. But you know what?
You're right. On TV,
it looks
does look better.
like, hey, why do you color your hair? It's like, I don't.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I think it's the lighting.
There,
there's a lot of gray.
Fans out there. He looks way older in person, so he's plenty of gray.
You just said dick. On that happy note, can we say dick on this show?
You did. It's your show. All right. When are you moving up here to do the show?
I'm never moving up here.
Okay.
I'm never moving up here.
Great seeing you then. See you next year.
All right. See you. Everybody have a great day. We'll do this again Wednesday.